and good afternoon, everybody. I am going to give you a short presentation that really gives an impression of some of the fantastic work that we've done with many of you. My name is Jennifer Barron. I'm the head of partnerships here at AGRA and also acting managing director for the AGRA. So in my presentation, I will really take you through the models and approaches of AGRA, and also some case examples of what we've done. And of course, you can ask questions afterwards. So, AGRA, what has been our strategy over the past 5 years, and what is it that we actually define as agriculture transformation? So basically, we're looking at several levels. On a national level, transformation for us, of course, means higher income, faster income growth, more prosperity, and a secured access to affordable and nutritious food. But we also do understand that the agriculture ecosystem consists of multiple layers and different types of systems. And one of the things that is also very critical is that the integration and interaction needs to be altered fundamentally in several ways. And of course, on the farmers level. In Africa, we're really dealing with a lot of subsistence farmers and smallholder farmers, and we want to ensure basically that they have food security, income security, and also access to markets. So our theory of change actually to achieve this transformation is really built on actions undertaken on all of these multiple levels. So on a national level, we look at how can we improve the enabling environment. And it's really critical that we support and encourage governments to put in place the right policies, programs, the commitments, and also to strengthen their capabilities to deliver. We also think that on a systems level, the coordination of the ecosystem and fostering partnerships and alliances around transformations and specific bottlenecks is very critical. We also strongly believe in a private sector driven agriculture system that is a key driver towards scale and sustainability. And lastly, and probably also most importantly, on a farmer's level, it's very critical that we improve the farmer's awareness, but also access to and adaptation of critical inputs, farmer practices, and resources required to improve transformation. So as an institution, in order to reach the impact and farmers at scale, we really operate across the ecosystem through systems, governments, and partners. And the way how we are structured institutionally also reflects that. Our system work really focuses on directly reaching farmers and basically improving the direct environment that they operate in terms of access to inputs and also access to markets. And we've been able to reach over 10 million farmers in the past 5 years in terms of what it is that we do. And it's really a coordinated downstream investments interfacing the farmers. In addition to that, our policy state capability and regional trade work really focuses on supporting governments and other actors in the ecosystem to strengthen policy reforms and facilitate government-led investments and to foster regional trade. And as you can see, our work has also impacted millions of farmers in that respect. Now, our strategic partnership work that many of us have been working with you on is actually really looking at leverage. How can we mobilize investment linkages and partnership to facilitate private sector companies to impact the agriculture system? And we've also been able in the past 5 years to reach at least 2.3 million farmers with the work that we're doing. So what are some of the challenges that we're trying to address with this entire machinery that is AGRA and with the work that we're doing with our partners? And I really briefly take you through this because I think many of you are very familiar with all of this work. So we know that at this point in time, there is an investment gap around $30 billion per annum that is missing from private sector investment, public sector budgets, etc., to drive transformation in agriculture on the African continent. We do know that the sector, agribusiness sector, has the potential to become a $1 trillion industry over the coming decade. But in order to achieve that, we really need to invest. At this point in time, we're still missing at least $30 billion a year. How are we going to close that investment gap? In addition as well, We know that there are certain factors that are holding back on private sector investments, from a poor enabling environment, the risk perception involved. There's also lack of inclusivity models. Investments sometimes do happen, but do they impact and benefit the farmer, the rural communities that we would like to see impacted? And also, of course, there's a lot of information asymmetry. Where can we find bankable deals? Where is the project pipeline? Who to connect and to partner with? And what should be the next action steps? So in the end, from a partnership perspective, the way we're looking at it is that we have a whole ecosystem that is not actually properly functioning, with gaps in terms of capacity, connectivity, resources, and challenges throughout. Now, what is therefore AGRA's value proposition to its partners, looking at all these different gaps, the way how our institution is structured, and the investments that we've made over the past couple of years? So this is what we're saying that we're bringing to the table. Number one, we have a footprint across 11 countries of not just only government relationships, but also the investments that we've made in, as I mentioned beforehand, downstream system improvements in terms of the farmer interface. We have strong relationships with all these different governments who see us as a partner in delivering agriculture transformations. We have made quite a number of investments in countries itself, alongside what we call consortia, which are really agriculture hubs of different service providers, providing a variety of services to local governments and farmers alike to move transformation along. And we also have strong convening power. Last year alone at the AGRA, which AGRA is hosting, we've convened over 10,000 actors across the globe to discuss and basically commit action towards agriculture transformation. So our assets really enable us to attract a wide number of partners and work on a couple of different things, right? From last mile delivery, we try to coordinate value chains, unlock new opportunities for investments as well, and strengthen a lot of models in terms of business models in terms of smallholder engagement, and strengthening the resilience of value chains and the different actors as well. As AGRA, we have more and more started playing the role in terms of being a key convener or supporter of alliances that really are focusing on transformation and change. And we'll hear some of them speaking later today, like the Farm to Market Alliance, but also other type of opportunities. I just want to quickly give an illustration of some of the work that we have been doing alongside all the strengths and assets that as an institution we're bringing to the table and the ecosystem, but also how our partners have complemented that and also came on board with their own capacity, strong agendas, and also a strong reach. So just in terms of the government relationships, as you know, AGRA is in 11 countries. We have structured our interventions in those countries along agroecological zones. And a lot of our investments are focused on specific hubs and ecosystems within those countries. We coordinate and engage with quite a number of actors within those national ecosystems, with, of course, a strong lead from the government. And we also work with regional government bodies in specific regions as well. This is just an illustration of a number of the system investments that we're doing. As I mentioned, we invest downstream in the interface that the farmer has with input markets, but also output markets, but also further upstream in terms of making connectivities. And if you look at the investments that we're making, it's really very holistic and across the board. We invest in seed systems, fertilizer systems, extension, and I'll give an example of the VBA work that we do, but also access to finance, post-harvest market solutions, but also working with regional and national governments and on policy and state capability. Further down the stream, there are quite a number of interventions that we have, including the agribusiness deal room, but we're also trying to provide supply chain advisory. In the end, what it comes down to, when we look at the work that we've been doing with many of you, is how can we really buy down risk in different parts of the value chain. When it comes to more upstream, closer to the farmer, it's really about how can we drive aggregation as well as yield improvement. When it goes more upstream, when it comes to processing, etc., we're specifically looking at buying down risk also through aggregation, but as well as securing stable markets through the relationships that we're building with off-takers. Now, this is a quick example of the VBA model that we've been building, right? 30,000 agents across Africa who are really helping to bridge the last mile gap between input market as well as and farmers. And what we've, for example, been doing is strengthening the number, scaling the number of mother and baby demonstration plots, but also supporting with last mile delivery and agro dealership towards the farmers. We have been working with quite a number of our partners to strengthen these models and also scale them sustainably. And I'm looking forward in coming years actually to work with a number of you to make sure that we can provide proper access to our farmers for input. And what have been the results? Sorry, this is just a quick animation. What have been the results of some of the work that we've seen? We've seen a strong adaptation of technology by farmers. For example, 28% increase in adopted seeds, 36% increase in adopted fertilizer across the board, and also in specific agriculture and regional hubs that we're working in, we've actually even exceeded some of these numbers. So what we can say is that it's working. One other thing as well is that in terms of for the farmers at least, our integrated approach has also led to different productivity increases if you look at the specific crops that have been planted. As you know, AGRAs pretty much is predominantly focused on staple crops, but we're also looking at how can we partner with other actors to make sure that farmers have access to some of the more commercial and niche crops that will increase their income. So in terms of working with input companies, we've really looked at the different ways and levels. So number one was really provide input, provide more access to input and also more know-how and knowledge. So we've been working with quite a number of input companies to strengthen product training, etc., leveraging the VBA model of all these 30,000 agents that we have invested in across the continent. So to really optimize the choice of farmers when it actually comes to access to new seed varieties and fertilizers. What we've also done is co-invested with quite a number of input companies, also to ensure that we could strengthen the supply of inputs, that we could introduce new models. For example, if you look at mechanization, different service models as well, to make sure that farmers will have access to affordable mechanization services and also products. We've also seen that a number of partners have actually adopted our models and have invested independently in the scaling of VBAs and strengthening there for the last mile delivery. So what has that all led to? And this picture depicts, again, the value chain, but now you can see all the different partners that we've been working with along the value chain in the different regions. And this is just a snapshot, an example. Don't panic if you don't see your logo. But you can see that we're trying to strengthen the ecosystem and the supply chain and strengthen the coordination of the supply chain all around the farmers. And I think going forward, this is a great opportunity and an existing platform that we can strengthen with other partners coming on board as well. So a few case studies in terms of what we've been doing with you. I won't spend too much time on it because we have some fantastic speakers who will also go into that, but I just wanted to highlight a few examples of the work that we've been doing. So in terms of the COVID-19 response, we have been working with some of our partners, including Bayer and Yara, to ensure that farmers were not deprived of access to critical inputs in COVID times when a number of supply chains were disrupted because of lockdowns, etc. We've also been actively working on the youth agripreneurship, and one of my colleagues from our partners from Nestle will talk a bit more about it, but also driving multi-stakeholder alliances such as the Farm to Market Alliance that I already mentioned before. One of the things that we've also focused on in terms of increasing investment opportunities and the flow of funding into the agriculture sector is the establishment of the Agribusiness Deal Room. And it's been a rapidly growing, scaling platform and quite successful in doing a couple of things. One, increasing the visibility of investment opportunities. From an SME perspective, we've been working with over 800 SMEs over the past 3 years to match them with investors, but we've also brought billions of dollars of potential public-private investments that are being designed on a national level to an investment deal room where different partners, investors, etc., could explore opportunities with governments alike. Our ability to convene all of these different actors around the pipeline has really generated additional efforts as well. Number one, designing the pipeline and creating the visibilities is just only one thing, but aligning different partners and programs in terms of the follow-up and making sure that we also land some of these deals and transactions, provide impulse where we see things stagnating, but also discussing bottlenecks and how we can resolve them has actually been also a big win of the deal room. And we continue to grow this and strengthen the capacity of both SMEs and governments, basically to improve their growth path and also their access to funding. This is just a quick snapshot of the deal room and of the SMEs that we've been working with. As you can see, the SMEs have the table over close to $550 million of potential investment opportunities. We've also been successful in closing some transactions and moving some further along. I think one of the interesting things is as well that a significant part of these companies that are coming to the deal room are owned or are led by women. So what are the benefits for you for partnering with a deal room? Of course, what I mentioned before, the advocacy and knowledge. Joining quite a number of partners to drive the ecosystem of investment mobilization forward. But also, we also have in the deal room actors who are connecting to cooperatives, etc., and other partners to strengthen local sourcing. And of course, also to put your own investment mobilization on the table. Mind you, the examples that I've just shared are just a few of the work that it is that we're doing in terms of the input companies working on the deal room and value for her. This is a gender-focused platform that works with close to 1,000 women SMEs now to provide them with access to markets, with access to investment opportunities, with capacity building efforts, etc., across a number of African countries. We have different partners who are also strengthening the capacity building of these women, because as we know it, investing in women in agriculture is investing in entire communities and the improvement of ecosystems. This is another quick snapshot of some of the partner work that we're doing, and it has to do with the work that we're doing on digital. So there are several things or interventions that we are focusing on. Some have to do with the introductions of new interventions and technologies on a farm level. So for example, we are working with CropIn to improve services through almost 10,000 VBAs in West Africa and also East Africa. Some of them have to do with questions around big data and artificial intelligence, but also how do you work with governments to create an enabling environment for the digitization of agriculture? That's some of the work that we, for example, have been doing with Microsoft. So we're really working with digital companies on both the technology level, as well as framing the right policy and enabling environment, as well as building the platforms to improve value chain coordination as well. Then my last slide, so snapshot of our partner portfolio. Who is it that we're partnering with? And by all means, if you don't see your logo reflected, do contact us, because we want to make sure that we don't leave any of our partners behind. But as you can see in this slide and also several others, our partnership portfolio really stretches the entire ecosystem. We work very closely with government and state actors, from the investment promotion agencies who participate in our investment mobilization efforts, towards also AU and NAPAC, etc. But we also have quite a number of technical partners that strengthen our delivery closer to the farmer. And in some of the downstream investments that we're making, we're building alliances and participating actively. But driving work, of course, with many of you as well in the private sector, working very closely with foundations and also financial institutions as well. A new frontier for us is basically the partnerships that we're building and strengthening with the investor landscape, from impact investors, a number of financial institutions who are also looking at green investment, but also some of the more hardcore private equity players as well. Now, my last two slides. When we as AGRA are identifying critical partners and looking at what is it that we're prioritizing, there are really 5 key things that we're looking at. Number one, this relationship or partnership that we're initiating, will it support us in increasing our farmers' reach? So we're looking really for scale. Number two, will it be transformative for the partner, meaning that it will increase their income? Number three, are we able to create synergies? We have our mandate and the impact that we would like to achieve in terms of bringing more technology to farmers so we can enhance food security, but also income security. Can this partnership actually support us in accelerating the delivery? The other thing that we're looking for is unlocking additional resources. We've seen the 30 billion gap. We want that our investments are matched by our partners to make sure that we unlock those opportunities. Lastly, and this is actually also quite important, we want to make sure that we invest in systems development. So is the interaction that we're taking with you as a partner leading to sustainability? Will there be a host, will there be scale up, will there be replication at the end of the game? Because as AGRA, we're not necessarily there in perpetuity. We want to make sure that we're catalytic together with our partners and that we set up systems that will actually be sustainable. This is my last slide, and it really has to do with the process that we're undertaking. It is a bit administrative, but it's important for you to understand that we really have a very intense assessment that we do together with our partners in terms of identifying the synergies and also formalizing our partnership all the way towards delivery, the monitoring, the evaluation, and eventually looking at what is it that we do with the outcomes of this partnership and to what extent can we make them sustainable, or was this a pilot, a trial that probably will not work and that we exited. But this is important to showcase because we do believe that partnerships are the way to go. No single actor can actually achieve some of this impact on their own, but we do need to put in place some of the processes, some of the systems and the procedures to make sure that we optimize this process significantly. I would like to leave it at that, only saying that for more information, these are all the different colleagues that you can reach out to. Looking forward towards the future, what is it that we're currently doing at AGRA? We are reviewing our last 5-year strategy and the impact that we've created with many of you. We are designing our 2030 strategy, and over the next 12 months, we're looking forward to really engaging with you to not only just inform that strategy, but also to scale what we've been doing so far. Thank you so much.